Is Carlos Taboada, who's a retired member of the United Teachers of Richmond and also is a candidate for the school board.
Thank you very much, Steve. And thank you, John. He already introduced me as the efficient candidate at 75 cents per vote, which in fact, the result in the 2016 election, let me tell you, far surpassed my expectations. I was hoping for, at the most, judging by I also consulted the past election results, and judging by the past elections, I said to myself, well, if we, because it wasn't just myself, I said if we get 5,000 votes, that would be great. And we came up with 13,000 votes. So I thought that was rather pleasing. Also, you have to add that the anti-charter candidates, it was me and another candidate who was also anti-charter. I think that we split somewhat the votes. So there is hope. There is hope in this election on November 6th. There will be three positions open. So that narrows the margin. I only need to get not another 13,000 votes more, but I think only about 4,000 or 5,000 votes more to get a position on the board. So what I want to talk to you about is just this whole business of running for school board under these circumstances. But first, I would like to recapitulate, put in context some of what Dr. Wright said. Very, very much appreciate your words, very, very much. So we are here to. I want to say, well, I'm a militant in a little group called Defend Pubic Education Now, and I'm running on a platform that I would call Defend and Reform Public Education Now. So just a few words to begin with as to who are we defending public education from. And as was stated earlier by Dr. Wright, we are in a period of crisis, a deep crisis of worldwide proportions. The system that has dominated the world scene for a long time, more than almost 200 years, is in a deep crisis. And I will just enumerate three of the significant aspects of this crisis that have been, you can find many references to this in the literature. One is that the mature capitalist economies are in a what can only be called as a period of economic stagnation, okay? Advanced capitalism on a worldwide scale is stagnated. We are not, you just to refer a few years back, I mean a few decades back, we are not in the 1950s, say, when the United States was able to control the world through its factories. Of course, it had its army stationed throughout the world, but it was the economic might, the economic muscle of the United States that was able to, that enabled it to control the world. I remember I was living in Mexico then, and how people used to joke about Japanese cameras were sold by the kilo, but by the pound. You know, that's the joke in those days. You know, how many kilos of Japanese cameras did you buy? So economic stagnation of the mature capitalist economies. Another earmark of this period of crisis is what has been called the financialization of capital. We went through a period where it was the commercial capitalists that ruled and the industrial capitalists that ruled, and now we have the the people that really practically do nothing. I mean, they do nothing to put bread or to put goods on the market. They simply own money. And under this financialization of capital, economic bubbles masquerade and are presented to us as economic development. So we just went through one big economic bubble that burst 8-9 years ago, and you can be sure that another one is coming along the way. We don't know exactly where it will happen. The last is the concentration and the monopolization of capital on a global scale. And we can see this happening right at this very moment here in the United States with the consolidation of of two of the biggest mass media conglomerates. I won't even mention the names, but it is within this context that capital is looking for new markets, really new markets, and they have seen in their drive to take over all aspects of civil society. They have seen in education a new market. And like Mary Flanagan mentioned a little while ago, they have a new stimulus package. It's called the New Markets Tax Credit, which gives these educational entrepreneurs a 39% federal income tax credit over a 7-year period for investing in our beleaguered communities. So it is no surprise. It should not be surprising to us that in the case of West Contra Costa, we have 13 charter schools, and all 13 charter schools are located in the city of Richmond, which is a city characterized by students with low socioeconomic status, a high percentage of English learners, and so it's not surprising that we have all the charter schools concentrated in Richmond. I also like to add to what Mike Hutchinson said. He said that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and indeed, there is a faint light at the end of the tunnel. We have had some victories, and I will mention them briefly. 2 years ago, I remember it was May 10, 2016, the Ron Beller, the head of the Caliber chain of charter schools, made his presentation to the community of Vista Hills, I believe. His presentation to justify his acquisition of a multi-million-dollar piece of real estate, a former middle school that was being sold because they found out it had to be retrofitted. It wasn't fit for public school children, so Mr. Ron Bella so generously stepped in and offered $60,000. It's a lot worth in today's, I mean, this is 2 years ago. 2 years ago was worth, I don't know, something like $8-10 million. He wanted to buy it for $60,000. And let me tell you, he would have bought it. Our school board then, and I know this for a fact because I spoke to these board members, they were ready to give it to him for $60,000. Were it not for the fact that neighbors, community organizations, independent activists, parents, we all more or less spontaneously came together. And after a few months, it was a matter of months, it didn't happen overnight, but after a few months, our school board had to admit defeat, and they did not sell this valuable piece of real estate. We also had other, we also won another minor battles, and I'm using this bellicose terminology deliberately, because I do believe that we are at war, okay? We are at war. This is a war. And so we won another battle, another chain of located in San Jose, another chain of our charter schools, the Racket Ship, as they call them. These Racket Ship people also wanted to come into our district. And also, again, there was widespread opposition. I think that even there is also a bit of competition amongst the charter schools, okay? They are not I mean, there are 13 charter schools. There are about from 10 or 11 different charter organizations. So I don't know if in an attempt to win favor with the community, but some people that we thought were anti-charter, that we thought were pro-charter, came out against Rocket Ship and joined us, and we were able to, again, defeat Rocket Ship at the local level. They went then to the county level, and then again, we went there to the crucial meeting where the vote was taken, and again, saw a lot of familiar people that I had seen 2 years before, and success. The county turned them down again. So there is hope if people come together. Also, another minor victory. This was not in West Contra Costa. It was across a little strait of the bay in Vallejo. You take the Carquines Bridge and you are in Vallejo. Rocket Ship also tried to locate there, but guess what? This time I went there. I had with one of the I know one of the board members in the board in Vallejo. And we met with the head of the Vallejo Educators Association. And when Rocket Ship made its presentation at the school board in Vallejo, they were met by the type of opposition that they did not expect. They not only had people from Vallejo speaking there, but I was there. And I made a point of telling them and letting them know that I was not from Vallejo, that I was from across the bay, and that like me, there were people all over the bay that if I want, I could call them and they will be here. I was bragging, of course. But a month or so later, the final vote was taken, and again, the Vallejo school board denied their application. So there is possibility of winning victories. But again, if you examine all these 4 instances that I mentioned to you, they require a lot of work, a lot of grassroots work, and a lot of organization. There is discontent, and there is the will to fight back. And one thing that I need to say is that if we are going to fight back, we are in a war, and if we expect to win the war, first we should be aware that this is a war of ideas, and we cannot win a war of ideas if we wage that war with the same ideas, with the same concepts that does your opposition, your enemy. And by that I mean, well, first of all, number one, the word that you see written, engraved next to every charter school. They call the so-and-so summit, whatever, charter public school. Okay? They are not public school. So that should not even be debated. They are not public schools. They are publicly funded by privately managed. And anytime anyone says that they are public schools, you should remind them that the pharmaceutical industry is not a public industry. And believe me, about 85 almost 90% of the research and development is publicly funded. Yet they are privately managed. And so are these charter schools. So they are not public schools. If you examine the documents that they publish, they make it a point of saying that the money that the state allocates for the education of the children in a given district does not belong to the district, that it belongs to the families, to each family, and that each family should decide how that money is spent. That is their argument, and I won't go into details as to how to destroy that argument, but imagine if that were applied to the Defense Department or any other, any other agency of the government. I mean, so the same should be said about the word competition, okay? These are terms that are taken from the arsenal of neoclassical economics. And it is that idea that we are competing with charter schools. You will find it also in the California Ed Code on the section in Article 47601 on the legislative intent. It says that the existence, et cetera, to accomplish all of the following. They're saying that charter schools are instituted, that's in 47600, in 47601, they enumerate what is the intent of this, the legislative intent. And the last one, G, says provide vigorous competition within the public school system to stimulate continued improvements in all public schools. This is odd, okay? Because who has ever heard that you are subsidizing your competition? And that is exactly what they want us to believe, that we are competing with charter schools, okay? We are not competing with charter schools, and if we want to find the correct terminology, there are also some other useful concepts in the arsenal of neoclassical economics, economics of scales and others, but I suggest that we go to the biological sciences and look on the parasites, because that's exactly what they are, a parasitic alternative district that draws its nourishment as it weakens its host. Now, they just indicated to me that we are running short of time, and now the last one is that this whole thing, and I heard this from many people. I had the opportunity to listen to Buffy Weeks a couple of weeks ago, and if you see Tony Thurmond or anyone that is running for any office that likes to call himself progressive, they will tell you, well, not all charter schools are bad. Well, let me tell you something, and I'm quoting here not only Diane Ravitch, but this gentleman here that you see in this magazine. Both of them said something that was true. A quality education for our children is the civil rights issue of our time. And just like 30, 40 years ago, there were no good segregated charter schools, even though they may have had excellent academic programs. So today, there are no good charter schools. Okay, there's no such a thing as a good and a bad charter school. Finally, to talk about what I really wanted to talk about to you more than anything else is about my campaign. And as you can see, I'm running on, as I said, on the issue of defend public education, defend and reform public education. The central point of my campaign, you will see it on my yard signs, there is let teachers teach. Basically, what I mean by that is let teachers teach. Let teachers design their instruction to meet the needs of the students in front of them, not the needs of philanthropic institutions that are financing or to whom our high school programs that I know have been outsourced, okay? And as a board member, I will propose, my number one proposal will be the immediate implementation of the full-service community school model based on teacher autonomy and direct community involvement, okay? We should know, as John made it when he ran for school president, that in the local control plan, there is only one, there are 40 positions, and only one of those positions is in teachers' hands. So we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. We should have, and by this, listen, our school districts, they have the template. Everybody knows full-service community schools, that's the way to go. But it is the steps. They don't take the right steps, see? And the right steps will be full-service community schools after a fundamental revision of our academic programs. Full-service community schools where each of our schools are hubs, are centers for the provision of academic, health, and social services, from preschool to adult school level. That is the way. That's how we're going to get rid of the achievement gap. We know that the differential in academic achievement, the root cause of that differential is not biological, is not genetic, is social, and as such, it can be remedied with proper educational, pedagogical policies. And to do this, just to end, I would propose that we follow a model that is followed in, I believe, in Austin, Texas, and that is to transform an elementary, a middle, and a high school to serve as models for a planned district-wide expansion of the full-service community strategy. Education, we should have in each district, I believe, and I will advocate for that in my district, we should be able to experiment. We should be able to innovate. And to do that, I say, well, that was the original idea with the charter schools, right? Well, let's do it openly in a democratically controlled system of public education. And we want to have an elementary, a middle, and a high school program to demonstrate to you how locally controlled, teacher-run schools can solve these problems. Well, thank you very much. An air of triumphalism among the charter people, no doubt encouraged by the Trump, DuBois, junta. And they have, in fact, I'm gonna get a copy from Steve from the emails, and I'm commit myself to emailing what I call the Charter School Manifesto, or the Charter School Playbook. It was published in something called the Center for Reinventing Public Education, and it's called Better Together, ensuring quality district schools in times of charter growth and declining enrollment. It is an amazing document. They, among the things that they ambition, I've always attacked charter schools. I've always denounced charter schools, saying that in our district, saying that they are complicitous in harming teachers, because the salaries of charter school teachers come from the general fund. Yet many, the overwhelming 98% of charter school teachers are not contributing to the CalSTRS system. And I thought, well, how clever of me, I have zeroed in on an issue that really hits the point. Well, that's one of their objectives in this little document. This is the publication of a symposium between educational entrepreneurs, superintendents, and all that group of people. And that's what they say. That's what their ambition is, to demonstrate to the school districts that our system of pension, that CalSTRS doesn't work, and that their 401(7), whatever they call it, system of pension is the one that should be implemented in our districts. So,
I think everyone should be aware as well that CalSTRS has union representatives. Does everyone know that? They have union representatives from the CTA and the CFT on CalSTRS, and not one of these union representatives have ever made an issue about the fact that the pension fund for the teachers is being undermined by the charter schools, which are setting up 401ks. Isn't that strange that we have a union that is representing school teachers, that is on the board of CalSTRS, and they don't even make the issue of underfunding by charters an issue, a political issue? Has there ever been an article in the CTA magazine or the CFT magazine about the danger to the pension fund as a result of charters not paying into it? Does anyone know of any article? Isn't that strange? Since they have union representatives on the pension board, you would think they would be informing their own members.
I've written them on several occasions, asking them for, I asked last time for an exact breakdown. I was interested in knowing how many teachers are not contributing to the CalSTRS. Very simple question, which they should know, but I mean, no answer yet from